Hey there, YouTube. Welcome to Big Mike Beard Wisdom. So today, we're hopefully turning out that TPMS light. When I was filming this video, I kind of might have messed up a little bit. And essentially, there was some music playing in the background that I probably can't play on YouTube. But to go into this real fast, this was the Schrader valve that I ordered for the Astra. And every car is a little bit different, so your sensors may not be the same. But for my particular car, the 2008 Saturn Astra, it takes this Schrader 28078, and they have a metal stem. This right here is a seal that goes into like where like the rubber valve stem would have sealed on like a normal tire. And then you get a nut like this one that screws down on the top of that. Oh, bouncing around too much. And attaches it to the wheel. And then all of this lives just inside of your tire. So kind of like the hidden area here on the valve stem. So all of that would be back inside. And then that spins around whenever you're going down the road. The spinning action a lot of times will turn these on. Otherwise, there's a chance that they'll have a wake-up signal that can turn them on as well. With the normal valve stem, you've got a pretty good sized hole that runs all the way through, and it's a straight shot all the way through. With a tire pressure sensor, it's not necessarily a straight shot. Here's the hole where the air comes out, and it's kind of crazy because essentially you still have the Schrader valve inside of here, so the one where you depress the little center finger and allows air to pass through. And then this part up here is where the air comes out. So the air comes in, makes a 90-degree turn, and comes through a little tiny hole. And that makes it really tough depending on how your tires are set up. So I'm not the biggest fan of tire pressure sensors when working on them, but they are pretty cool, especially in a situation where you need them. And I've heard it a lot of times said whenever I was looking at a car, or, I heard people talking about tire pressure light being on, that they don't want to replace the sensor. Well, I got it pretty cheap off of RockAuto, so I needed tires anyways. So you can see here's one of the original tires off the Astra. This was pretty wore out. Here's the new tires that I got. Pretty cool looking. And I'll be doing a review on those later. But anytime you go and replace tires, it's recommended that you put a service kit into the tire pressure sensors. So essentially that little black seal that I pointed out where it goes into the wheel, you want to replace that every time you replace a set of tires just to ensure you don't get any leaks. Also, with metal valve stems, you kind of want to get them disassembled and reassembled back together every now and then, just because they tend to seize, and then they became a nightmare in order to replace. So, a lot of times, a shop will try to upsell you on either those sensors repair kits, or they'll say that the sensor repair kit's included, in which case it's the exact same amount of work to put in the brand new sensor. So for me, I was sitting on those sensors for about 3 months until I figured out that, these were the particular tires that I wanted, and actually made the purchase and got around to installing them. All right, so now I'm going to take this for a test drive. Theoretically, all I've got to do is drive it for a while, and hopefully that light will turn itself off as the sensors wake up and they're learned by the system. And just like that, the light's out. That was just a short little drive. That learned it pretty quick. Now the tire pressure sensors are learned, the light's out when I drive, and that means that also the tires are above a certain pressure level. Being above that pressure level means that the light's out. Once the tires drop below that pressure level, though, it should trigger the light to come on, which makes this really handy because I had a car years ago where within the first 400 miles of owning it, I picked up 3 nails in the rear tire. And that was in the middle of a pretty long trip. So it was really handy at least telling me, hey, you've got a problem. Because as soon as I stepped out of the car after turning off on the highway, I could immediately hear it hissing. So I knew right away I either needed to put the spare on or I had to get to a gas station as soon as I could. But in most cases, whenever you do the bulb check now, so whenever you first go to fire the car up,
So the light will be on until the bulb check's over. So you can see a bunch of lights wind up shutting off during the bulb check. And then more than likely, they'll stay off until it detects a problem. So I don't know yet if these sensors come on right away or if these sensors will kind of wake up once the tires get rolling. But I definitely know for the Sonata that you've got to get rolling pretty good before the sensors will wake up and it'll give you a good reading. Both the G8 and the Escalade will give you immediate readings that seem to be pretty accurate. So you'll immediately know if it's been sitting for a while and suddenly lost the air in one of the tires. Whereas with the Sonata, you got to get rolling before they'll report. So you could be rolling on a just about flat tire before it'll tell you, hey, I got a flat tire. So tire pressure sensors are pretty cool, and it's nice to have that warning. It's also great for your wallet as far as, you know, knowing that you've got your tires aired up the way they should be. But sometimes they can be a real pain in the butt. Especially if you got bad sensors and need to replace them, or if it's really sensitive as to when it triggers the light. So some of the Nissans in particular used to trigger as soon as you're about 1 to 2 psi below what it's supposed to be. So as soon as the temperature drops, you know, 10, 20 degrees, it could trigger the light on. So all you really need is just a little bit more air, but you wouldn't know it until you go around and actually check your tire pressures. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to like and subscribe. I'll check you next time. But with the old CRX, it's nice and simple. You got no idea that they're flat, except that they're flat. Until I just slapped the phone.
And tire pressure sensors are kind of cool, but they're also kind of a pain in the butt. So as a technician, it's kind of tough because besides having a standard like Schrader valve, so just like the little valve that you push in and it'll let air in and out, a normal valve stem has a pretty good size hole. This little hole here is all the air that it lets through. So this is the hole that lets air in and out. So it's this tiny little.
And then, now the sensors are learned, the lights out essentially when you oh, maybe I should write a script one of these days.